TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Diamond, your State Farm insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Diamond and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdecalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 45. Flying solo today, but always with the oak tree of the news department. Dan Lynch wearing shorts. You folks are very blessed that you don't have to be in the same room with Dan Lynch wearing shorts. Dan, how you doing this morning?
I don't wear shorts a lot, but these were clean and they were in the top drawer, and I just,
And they still fit?
They were convenient to put on.
Okay. They still fit all right?
Do you wear shorts still?
I do. Still wear shorts, yes.
Yeah, these fit. I mean,
that's always the scary part in the spring when you go to try the pants on again.
I did a 60-hour fast. And
60 hours, really?
Yeah, and then, your jeans, you need the belt.
Yeah, like a rope there.
Yeah.
Well, how'd you make it through 60 hours? What? Is there a tougher time?
The first 24 are hard.
Yeah?
And then you kind of get a burst of energy.
I've heard that.
And then I wanted to do 3 days, but 60 hours, two and a half days.
Okay.
And,
just water?
you can drink coffee, which I drank, and then water. Yeah.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And you made it 60 hours?
Yeah, my previous record, 52, but I'd like to, Kevin James, he did 41 days.
41 days?
King of Queens
guy.
And a buddy of mine in town here, he did a week.
Really?
So
what do you eat after 60 hours or not eating for 60 hours?
Well, you want to ease into it, TD,
yeah, right.
like, an avocado or like a fried egg or a hard-boiled egg or something. You don't want to pound Big
I
Macs.
remember reading about Auschwitz there when they liberated the concentration camps, and you had these starving people, but you couldn't give them, you could just give them a little tiny amount of food because the body couldn't handle it, right? Yeah. Wow, good for you. Well, I'm glad you're still here.
Yeah, but I forgot my belt today.
So Dan will be holding up his pants throughout the broadcast here. We want to thank our sponsor, one of our wonderful sponsors, and then, of course, is the Junction Eating Place. The Junction Eating Place at 816 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Call 815-758-5441. They're right in the heart of downtown DeKalb. Signature touches like a potbelly stove and modern train. They're driving through the dining room. Not through the dining room. That would get a little messy. They're open for buffets now. They have buffets 6 days a week from 4 to 8 p.m. Really reasonable price. Great for families as well. They have a different theme every night. They have an Italian theme Friday nights. They have fish fry. Check it out at 816 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Call 758-5441. And Takis to Go, that's Takis, Takis to Go, DeKalb.com. They're located at 817 West Lincoln Highway. Locally family-run spot. Fresh, fast, and flavorful meals, including hot dogs, gourmet meals, wraps, and Greek cuisine. They offer 24-hour catering service, so whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they can take care of you there at Takis. Give them a call at 739-7146. That, of course, is the 815-739-7146, or go to TakisToGo.DeKalb.com. Well, we just had them on, Dan. We just had Chris, or Taki himself, from the Junction Eating Place, and John Finn from Pizza Villa, and they got 130 years of restauranting between the two of them. Pizza Villa's been there about 70 years, and the Junction's been just about 60 years. So, what an amazing story. And they're right next to each other. They're right?
Yeah, across the parking lot.
Across the parking lot. Yeah, John tells stories of they'd be open late at night till 2 in the morning, and then he would send the workers over to get steak and eggs over there at the Junction, because they stayed open till 4 in the morning, I guess, back in the day. Chris said that the parents would they stay open till 4, close 2 hours to clean, then open again at 6 a.m. and start it all over again.
I just saw John. He is thin.
He is. For a guy who works at a pizza place.
Right. I mean, those Villa Nuggets. My kids love Villa Nuggets.
Yeah, that's another reason. Check it out. TD Ryan podcast number 51. We get into the whole pizza nugget thing now. You were around when Sergeant Pepper's was here?
Yes, I was.
Now, we just had the mayor of DeKalb, Cohen Barnes, who worked there at Sergeant Pepper's, said they had the best beer nuggets.
Yeah, it was right next door to Molly's.
Okay.
And it was a nice little pizza joint.
Yeah.
DeKalb had a lot of them. And, of course, Pizza Villa, one of the powerhouses.
Do you know who the Villa Man is?
No.
They used to send a guy over to the dormitories there at NIU with a big bag of beer nuggets, and he would sell them, I think, for $2, they said, for a big bag of nuggets. So the Pizza Villa guy, he would get 50 cents for every bag he sold. So he'd load up the truck, drive over there to the dorms right around closing time at the bars, 1:30, 2 o'clock, and start selling the beer nuggets to the guys coming back from the bars. And he said he'd clean it up. He always sold.
Over fist.
Yes, he sold all his nuggets every night, they said. And then NIU came around. They said they couldn't really do that anymore. But what a great idea, going to where the kids are. You know, you're loaded up with the nuggets. They're coming home from the bars. You always want to eat something at that point anyway, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I think many of us have put a pizza in the oven after the bars closed. And I remember my brother falling asleep on the couch after he put the pizza in at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. And with Takis, I'm thinking about €1.
Yeah. There you go. Well, you can have the Euro. Yeah, they got all the Greek food as well. So check that out.
I'm going to have to try one of those Euros.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for news, my friend?
DeKalb man accused of staking out his ex's home and then telling police that he just wanted to talk to her. According to arrest documents, on April 18th at around 8:40 p.m., police were called to an apartment complex. This was in Sycamore on DeKalb Avenue. The victim told police that 26-year-old Devin Williams was waiting around in the stairwell. Police confronted Williams within the locked area of the complex.
Wow.
You had to sort of sneak your way into that area. Officers asked Williams to leave, and he refused. And then they arrested him subsequently. And then the victim told police that Williams has a history of being violent. He's now charged with stalking and obstructing.
Wow. Now, we'll have DeKalb Police Chief David Bird on our podcast here in the next about 3 weeks from now. But he was saying that's the number one problem right now is domestic violence. Domestic violence is the number one issue there with the DeKalb Police Department. And, now they have the Ben Gordon Center where the counselors go out with the police on the calls. And he said that's been a godsend. He said that's made all the difference in the world.
I bet.
To go to one of these domestic violence calls. Because I was telling you, so often when the police officer shows up, they become the bad guy, and the man and the woman turn on them, or the couple, whatever it might be. But now when they have the counselor there, the police can determine that there's not a physical threat, and then they can leave the counselor there with them and try to work things out. So.
Yeah.
And he said that's worked out splendidly so far. So.
Right. Now they just need it for every call.
Yeah, right. I mean,
they probably need more.
Yeah. Well, I remember doing the suicide prevention show, and the guy saying that the number one mental institution in the state of Illinois is the Illinois State Penitentiary, because inevitably, if you have a mental issue, you'll probably find yourself behind bars eventually. I saw a story about a guy who was naked. He was naked directing traffic. He was having a mental issue at the time, and got arrested. Got put away for I think 6 months or something. Right back out, and no treatment while he was in, and just right back out to do something silly again like that. So
yeah, I one story I covered where an officer got shot in the line of duty. It was a standoff.
Oh, really?
Domestic violence. Back in 2010, maybe. I forget. But a lot of standoffs are
from that.
Domestic violence.
Yeah. Yeah. So a really sad thing to tell you. So I'm involved with two of the biggest issues right now, and that's the DeKalb Park District. Now eyeing a mid-August for the Hopkins Park pool opening. Again, they keep pushing that back. Now, not to make excuses for them, but there have been some bad weather. The nearly 100-year-old Hopkins Park faces its share of challenges with an updated design standards, state permit requirements, and most recently, weather-related delays. Now, we have had a lot of rain, and they can't work in the rain. According to the news release, the Park District, the pool, previously Hopkins Pool, was renamed Hopkins Park Pool. You think that was really necessary, Dan? They had a naming the pool contest. It went from Hopkins Pool to Hopkins Park Pool. It's the new name.
Did you just make that up?
No, that's a true story. Nobody couldn't get any more creative than calling it the Hopkins Park Pool. They remain committed to opening the pool as soon as possible. They say one of the permits took up to 10 months to get. We experienced 8 weeks of deep frost beginning in January, followed by a notable wet spring. It has been a wet spring. Zupzauer, as the president, expressed some optimism about the pool's new reopening timeline. He says, quote, "We are hopeful that favorable conditions in the coming months will allow us to recover some lost time and maximize the number of operating days this season." And he also says, now this is very exciting, considering extending the pool's operating season beyond its typical schedule, because I think it ends, the weekend before Labor Day there. But it's about the personnel, Dan. And if they do open in the second week of August, they're not going to have anybody to work there because all the kids got to go back to school, So it's like...
True. The sweet spot would be to open now.
Right, yeah. Well, when they dawdled 2 years ago, when this passed in 2024, they went that whole summer, where they could have used the pool before they did anything. That's what a lot of people were upset about. They go, if you weren't going to do anything till the fall, why not have the pool open? But that's, that's water under the bridge, no pun intended. But again, they keep moving this around, so it's kind of a floating date. But right now, mid-August. Another pun.
Another pun.
Again, we'll keep you posted on that as that comes along. And then we'll tell you also related story is that the DeKalb Park District could expand the Sports and Recreation Center. The facility expansion could be in order in DeKalb Sports Facility. DeKalb Park District proposed a master plan. The Park Board has not yet voted on the district to enlist whether they should, how they would expand the rec center. No official timeline is set as of Friday. The Executive Director, Paul Zipzauer, said plans for these two projects are not firm. Yeah, so we're talking about expanding the rec center there. But I saw a lot of comments on Facebook. Everybody said, well, get the pool built first and then start worrying about whether you're going to expand the rec center. But what really stood out to a lot of us, especially those that work there, that they're talking about the district's proposal master plan also calls for the decommissioning of Hayes Gym. Now, I don't know what all that entails. I know. That's when all the people that go there, when they came up to me and they brought the newspaper article in, are you guys going to close? Are you closing Hayes Gym? And they were all ready to, have a rally and stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen. But also, I'm a realistic person, and I know, there's a 100-year-old boiler there in that gym. Yeah. And trying to maintain that. It's funny, the guy who knew how to work it, he unfortunately had passed away. But there was a dude who knew all the little tricks to keeping the boiler going.
Yeah.
And he is no longer with us, unfortunately. So I mean, it's really rough, and there's some leakage there too, but such a classic building. Now, do you go and do karate there with the kids? Is that where you guys go?
Yeah, and it's a lovely old building, and they keep it spick and span.
Yeah, I'm clean there myself. I know all about that. So,
and to replace a boiler is pricey.
Yeah.
And, copper is at an all-time high or pretty close. And brass is, that thing.
Yeah, it's really tough.
And the thing of it is you can't put in ductwork for forced air. A boiler's a boiler, and you got radiators.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see what they'll do. And again, nobody's panicking here. They won't vote on this until June, the end of June, I guess, at their meetings. And then they wouldn't begin working at the rec center until 2027. So the idea is basically build what they have at Hayes Gym over at the rec center, and then you can decommission. I hate that term, decommission Hayes Gym, but that's the term they're using.
Well, and state statutes kind of force that too. I learned that when they were wanting to build a prison in a market that I covered, and you have to adhere to state statutes. Every prison should have this,
right,
and that, and rec area, and
handicap accessible, all the things. Yeah, that they.
And Hayes, DeKalb was a lot smaller town, probably.
Yeah,
when that was built.
The new guy, my new boss over there, his mom went to school there. Remember when there was a school?
Okay.
Before they tore the school down. So.
Wow.
But they kept the gyms, and again, it's just a beautiful old building, and hopefully they can work that out. But again, there's plenty of time. I have a feeling people will let their feelings be known, because I think a lot of people just love that Hayes Gym, and hopefully you can keep it going somehow.
Yeah, and I just drove down by the railroad tracks and saw the coal.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, that's taking a while. I went over there and I thought it'd be down, but I see they still got the big crane up there. And I was talking to somebody about that this morning and how they built that thing. They didn't have all that stuff then when they built that thing 100 years ago. It's amazing how well that has been built.
Yeah,
stood there for 100 years. Probably could have stuck around for another 20 or so. I guess it was falling apart a little bit there.
Well, we still got the old depot.
There you go. And what you got? What you got for? I always want to open a restaurant there. And I tell you, my theory was that you have free drinks. Whenever a train went by, everybody in the restaurant gets a free drink.
I'm sure it's a lovely building. The Village of Hinckley is hosting a Village Hall open house this weekend, Saturday. The folks who live there, they're invited to stop and register. Are you ready for this? Their golf carts and ATVs and sign up for online billing. Golf cart and ATVs can be registered for $35. Maple Park is like this too.
I was going to say, is this
Drive
like
through Maple
is this
Park.
like Florida? What?
Residents can sign up for e-billing and receive $20 off your next utility bill. There's some incentive.
Yeah.
The event is booked for this Saturday at the Hinckley Village Hall from 10 until 2.
We went on our honeymoon. We went up to Canada. We went up to Canada and we went to Niagara Falls. And we stayed at a lot of, we had a little trailer with us, and we stayed at a lot of trailer parks. And evidently, there's one guy in the trailer park driving around with no shirt on, a beer in his hand, and he's overly tan and sunglasses. And every park we went into, there was one of those guys in the golf cart with the shirt off, beer in the hand, usually like a hairy back, and they live there because they live there for like 4 or 5 months of the year while the camp is.
Okay.
Every one we went to had that guy there, the guy in the golf cart with the hairy back and the beer in his hand. That was great, though. Have you ever been to Niagara Falls? Boy, Niagara Falls is great.
No, but I was reading about Niagara Falls and all the people who've gone over.
Uh-huh. Woman was the first one to make it to live.
Of course, a lot of people have died.
Yeah.
Recently, too.
Some of the barrels they design, yeah, it's amazing. And some modern guys trying it, too. And obviously it's illegal, but
Yes.
they find their way into the river there. And
Yeah. But I would. So what side were you on?
the Canadian side.
Okay.
So we did the Lady of the Mist. We went down in the water there. It was great. Which I always wonder if the engine fails. I don't know what happens when that happens. And then there's a gondola that goes across the way. So Becky and I are in line, and the guy in charge of the ride goes, "Yes." And there's never been an accident. I think 10 years the gondola's been going. Never been an accident. And Becky turns to me and she goes, "Well, that means they're due." And I wasn't worried, but the young couple behind us, she goes, "That's right." She goes, all this time, that means there's probably. So they were trying to talk themselves out going across the gondola. But we did that. And then there's caves you can go underneath the falls. That was really cool.
Okay. So, but the gondola goes over?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Becky's scaring this young couple behind us. There's never been an accident? Well, that means they're due. They're due then.
And it's cables, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Got it.
Yeah. Bit of an adrenaline rush, that's for sure.
Yeah. I love that part of the country.
Oh, it's beautiful. It really was. I can see why people, Buffalo looks so rough to live there, but boy, it's just a beautiful city. Just walk through there.
Oh, is it near Buffalo?
Yeah. Huh?
Okay.
They're really nice.
A big, like 500,000 people in the 1950s, and today it's like 250,000.
Is it down to that, really? Wow.
Because of, air conditioning.
Yeah.
You can live in Houston now. In the 40s, not so much.
Yeah.
Because there was no air conditioning, or it wasn't ubiquitous.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, God bless them. That's great.
That's something you read on an airplane. When you didn't bring a book, you read about Buffalo.
Well, highlight recommend. It's such a cliche to go to your honeymoon at Niagara Falls, but we did, and it was great. We even got a little certificate that said that we honeymooned at Niagara Falls. 250 trees for tomorrow. This is part of the America selling 250th anniversary. The DeKalb community transplanting to mark the nation's anniversary. I think it's always a good sign to work well together. That's what Debbie, DeKalb Township Administrator, said. They want to bury 250. They buried 15. It's the first budding. It's called a budding? In its first budding series of the DeKalb Township Community Tree Plantings, which saw dozens turn out to show their support for the newly established garden outside Elder Care Services. Of course, one of our wonderful sponsors, Elder Care Services, getting a little garden going there. The trees, which came at no cost to recipients, were made possible due to the 250 Trees for Tomorrow initiative, a special agreement between the DeKalb Township and the Morton Arboretum and Chicago Region Tree Initiative. As well, DeKalb Township put out the call to help from volunteers. In the weeks leading up to the event, the community responded was meaningful. I guess they had more volunteers than they needed. During the township event, 10 to 15 trees were expected to find a home in the newly established garden outside Elder Care Services. So this is mostly young people, Dan, planting these trees. And what a great lesson. My dad and I planted a tree in our backyard in Lincolnwood, and I keep wanting to go back with Becky to see if it's still living or not, but that was so neat to watch, this little tree grow. And you plant some trees here in the crib at the house?
It's a new house? I don't think so. We planted something in the backyard. It's a hedge of something.
Okay.
Of some sorts. A couple of years ago, but not a tree technically.
My grandkids out in Virginia planted a redwood. They have a big property there, so I'm like, you know how big this tree is going to. I mean, can you just plant a redwood? I mean, obviously, it would take a century to grow.
Yeah.
But what a neat thing to do.
Well, squirrels plant trees, and
Yeah.
they don't tell anybody.
No. Again, so wait, that's great. I think that's a township, and again, doing it in Morton Arboretum, doing that, and I didn't know there was a, what do they call it? The Tree Regional Society, whatever that was called. I lost the Morton Arboretum. Have you been up there? I've been up there lately.
I have not, no.
I went there once, and then you get on your mailing list, and you get all this stuff from them. You know, all the stuff they got going on.
Arbor means tree in Spanish.
Oh, good. Oh, is that what that's from? I did not know that. What else you got there, Dan? I was trying to find the name of this. The Chicago Region Tree Initiative. Apparently, there's a Chicago Region Tree Initiative.
The DeKalb County Board approved a plan to raise member per diem pay from $90 to $100. This is beginning after the November 2028 election to ensure equal pay for all members.
All right.
In its next term. The board also approved salary increases for the county clerk and the treasurer beginning in 2027, $131,600 with a 3% annual increase through 2030.
All right, that's good. You take care of those people. Now, in an upcoming podcast here, TD Ryan Unleashed podcast number 55, we're going to hear from DeKalb Police Chief David Byrd. And, you know, Dan, he just celebrated his 5th anniversary, and then the headline in the Chronicle, DeKalb sees a 59% reduction in violent crime in the past 5 years. I mean, just when David started, DeKalb has seen a downward trend over the past 5 years in violent crimes, arrests, gun activity, according to release from the DeKalb Police Department. Now, just a couple things that struck out to me, Dan, was violent crimes trended down 109 in 2025 compared with 263 in 2021. So I think it was pretty wild here in the 2020-21 there. Department categorized violent crimes as homicides, aggravated assault, battery, criminal sexual assault, and robbery. Confirmed gunfire activity decreased with 100 reported gunshots in 2021, only 16 in 2025, 84% reduction. And then there's actually less arrests. Arrests have fallen over the past 5 years. 1,718 reported in 2021, 1,500 arrests in 2025, a 12% reduction. So you got to love that. And no homicides, 1 homicide in 2025. And you were around when it seems like we're hearing shots fired almost every night over there in that.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
you
that.
get the notification on your phone or your email.
Yeah.
If you signed up for it. But it was a lot.
Yeah. So again, a great job by the DeKalb Police Department. 451 cases have been investigated. I asked him, and I think he said they have 28 detectives, and I asked him if they're all cool. You know, because on the TV shows, the detectives are always cool. So I assume you're cool if you're a detective.
Well, Vice, definitely Vice. Tubbs and Crockett.
There you go. And then I came clean. I admitted that I got a speeding ticket. I think I told you that the other day. I had not had one in like 20 years. And I went up to Malta to Art Automotive, and they gave me a loaner for my car, and I'm coming back, and I was going through NIU, the campus there, and I sped. I think I was doing 50 and a 35, I think it is. And I got stopped, and I was really angry, and I was mad at the police and all that stuff. I said, there's a loaner car, and he goes, so was the speedometer different on a loaner car than in your car? And I said, no, officer, it's not. And took the ticket, you know.
The accelerator might be different.
Well, it was actually. It was more sensitive, but I wasn't about to try to. And I didn't say that. Maybe you don't know who I am. I interview Chief Byrd on a regular basis. But I paid the speeding ticket, and now I've seen them pulling over. He says now they have more personnel. They have 75 officers right now on the DeKalb Police Department. That's the full package there. And they have time and personnel to do things like give out speeding tickets.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because in 2021, I think the head count was in the 50s.
Right. He said 54. Yeah.
Okay.
So very good, Dan. Yeah. So God bless them, and let's get those speeders.
Chicago Bears say a mega projects bill passed by the Illinois House now needs additional amendments in order to make Arlington Heights, that site, feasible. Bears said they support Illinois leaders as they determine the path to making essential changes and aligning on infrastructure funding. That's the thing. The House passed Amendment 3 to House Bill 910 on Wednesday night.
Boy, I bet Illinois has got just every right to be angry at the governor and the mayor and all the congressmen, everybody who just let this slide, and then now they're making this last-ditch effort, a Hail Mary, if you would, here at the end. When it never should have come to this, When Indiana has got this proposal all set, ready to go here, and we're still spinning our
The
wheels.
state of Illinois told the Bears, well, it's probably not in 2026, but eventually. Isn't
And
it?
what-
But they said something like that, and then Indiana made this offer, and so that lit a fire.
Yeah,
Wow, to lose that brand.
I know. And then even in the suburbs, that's here was Mayor Brandon Johnson say, "Well, the Bears should belong in Chicago." I'm like, "What are you doing to make that happen?" Nothing that I could see. But
Well, it's true, yeah. I mean, it's Arlington Heights or nothing, I guess.
right, I know. Now we're down in Arlington Heights. Yeah. So boy, my father would be rolling in his grave. He used to go to Wrigley Field when the Bears used to play at Wrigley, and and then the end zone was right there in the outfield. So you had we heard that story about Bronco Nagurski. He was a fullback for the Bears, and they said Nagurski went up the line one time, bursted through and hit his head directly on the wall at Wrigley Field, and said the wall was never the same. Was the quote from the paper. He was one tough hombre, Bronco Nagurski boy.
See, now with the Arlington Heights or whatever, they could host a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well,
you see it's like a whole campus there, because they tore down the racetrack and lots of room. I mean, that part makes sense, I have to admit. But,
yeah, since it's such an international event now.
yeah.
Yeah. But you couldn't do that at Soldier Field.
No,
really.
You really couldn't. So, but we'll wait and see. But it's just pathetic that they waited this long to do anything. And finally, speaking of great officers, want to mention Jim Rhodes. They started a scholarship, the legacy of longtime DeKalb police officer Jim Rhodes. Will continue to support future generations through a new scholarship created in his memory for DeKalb high school graduates pursuing a career in law enforcement. Now, get this. Rhodes joined the DeKalb Police Department in 1971. He dedicated 53 years to serving the community, spent 13 years as a patrol officer, promoted to detective, another cool detective, retired in 2002, but then quickly returned to the department as a part-time community service officer and evidence room technician, unable to step away from the work he loved. At one point, somebody asked him why he keeps doing what he's doing, and he simply responded, "I like solving crime." That's what he said. Following his passage, Rhodes established the scholarship. He attended NIU on a football scholarship. Now, this is how people had a work ethic back then. Attended NIU on a football scholarship, worked part-time as a dispatcher for the university's police department, where his interest in law enforcement came from. So God bless Jim Rhodes again. 53 years serving the DeKalb.
I've seen those community service vehicles.
I just saw one right now, yeah.
Okay.
So they're cops, right? I mean...
Well, I always thought to ask Dave Bird that.
I know, and I just had him here, and I
forget.
didn't ask him that.
But they might be
Because,
able
school resource officers are officers. They're a full officer.
Yeah, I guess they can issue tickets, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm speculating.
Me too. I just had Chief Bird here, too. Dang it. And an upcoming podcast, we're going to talk to the new Sycamore School superintendent, Dr. Christine Campbell. We're going to learn all about her. We met the new DeKalb School superintendent, so now we're going to meet the Sycamore School superintendent. And, there's a regional superintendent, Dan?
Yes.
Nobody's running against that person.
Because there's a board.
Is that it? Okay. But you don't hear that. Could you name the regional superintendent of the school?
Well, no. But I'm sure they are a PhD. And
oh, yes.
I used to, when I was young and rude, I used to ask that question. Are you a PhD or are you a real doctor?
Oh, good one. All right, what do you get another news story?
Illinois Department of Public Health is recommending that you consult its annual update of advisories related to the consumption of sport fish caught in Illinois waterways. Fish are tested across the state for contaminants like mercury. And the results are used for guidelines on how often fish from various waterways can be eaten without posing a health risk. The department says the majority of this year's updates stem from the adoption of more stringent advisory guidelines for a particular type of acid. I can't pronounce the name.
All right.
It starts with a P.
So they're being more strict with it. You know, when I lived down the lakefront there, the schmelt. You ever see people fishing for the schmelt? Those little tiny fish, and they catch them by the buckets down there, and some guys set up their grill, just fry them right there.
Lakefront in Delavan?
No,
or
like
Chicago?
Michigan, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe down there with the boats. A lot of times in the harbor there. I guess that's good schmelt fishing.
No wonder you don't like fish. Do you?
Oh God! And then that was so nasty, man. They'd eat the whole thing. They eat the whole schmelt. Oh. All right, 5 things to do in DeKalb County. Take a look at the community calendar brought to you by StagecoachPlayers.com. Go to StagecoachPlayers.com to find out everything's going on. Call 758-1940. We got the play that goes wrong. Just had that. I want to thank our get tickets for that. Now coming up, we have a streetcar named Desire. We'll be giving away tickets for that next week there. And, of course, you want to yell, Stella! Can't help yourself doing that. But 5 things to do include downtown DeKalb, a flower walk. The Wilrett Flower Company will host a downtown DeKalb flower walk this Saturday, April 25th in downtown DeKalb. The event begins at Wilright's. The guests will build their flower arrangement while strolling from shop to shop collecting flowers. The cost is $20. Now, that's creative.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it myself. I'm not a flower person, but Mardi Gras Mind Games, Sycamore Rotary Club presents this fundraiser from 7 to 10. The event includes trivia, raffle, Cajun-inspired bites, bottle pools, and more. Tickets are $45 per person, $80 per couple. Now, do you think that when I worked with Scott Zack, who was a single man, would always get upset with this? Tickets are $45 per person, $80 per couple. So why should you be punished if you're single, have to pay more? It doesn't seem...
Well...
You have an answer?
But with bulk, you get a discount.
Oh, that's true. Don't say that about your wife. All right, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Indian Valley Theater presents the classic this weekend, Friday, Saturday, in the afternoon performance. Check out sandwichoperahouse.com for more information. Murder Mystery Dinner at Hinckley, a Murder District fundraiser for Hinckley Fireworks Fest, Saturday, April 25th at the Midwest Sports Complex in Hinckley. Go to their Facebook page, hinckleyfireworksfest.com. Now, did you ever do one of those? My brother actually, when we were living in Chicago, he did that. He was part of the entourage. You go and people would pay to have like a murder mystery in your house. You know,
No, I
everybody
have
would be
not.
assigned a character when you start,
Mhm.
and then you stay in that character, and one person's the killer. And
Is this like Clue?
yeah, it's like
a
Clue, but
game?
you do it
Clue?
yourself. Yeah, and you have your own party. You have your own Clue party.
Boy, I wouldn't mind doing that once.
No.
You know.
I was going to do it, but there were so many things to qualify to do it too, and then it never worked out. And I think he got like $50 per gig. But
Interesting.
It was cool to get paid to do that. And the Dutch Tulip Barn Quilt Workshop. The J.F. Glidden Homestead Historical Center will host the Pastime at Glidden's Dutch Tulip Barn Quilt Workshop from 1 to 4 p.m. Now, is that why they put those, on the barns? They have they outline the patterns on the barns. Is that what that is? The quilt?
I know
The
what
Dutch-
quilting is.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the barn quilt workshop, is that where they put them on the barns?
that I don't know.
I'll have to see.
I'm not familiar with that.
All right. Well, I don't get out
My
much.
mother made a quilt once, but I was a tot, and it was beautiful. But I don't know how they maybe they hang them on barns.
Okay, yeah. I know the weather would not be conducive to that, but I swear they got them up there. There's a name for it, and I should have done my research. And finally, I want to remind you that if you are a thespian or thinking to be one, auditions will be coming up here Friday, May 1st, Saturday, May 2nd, and Sunday, May 3rd at the First Lutheran Church in DeKalb. You can apply for or audition for The Man Who Came to Dinner, Bonnie and Clyde the Musical, and Dracula. There, so we're gonna, if you want, thinking of being a thespian, don't forget all month long, the DeKalb Library is doing events to honor our 250th anniversary. There's a National Veterans Memorial Museum virtual tour. How cool is that? Coming up on May 5th, or pardon me, on May 5th, and then the history of the Beach Boys for adults at 6 p.m. on May 14th. My brother was a Beach Boy fanatic. He had every Beach Boy album that there was.
If Dennis Wilson is part of the history, that'll be really entertaining. Wow.
Oh, yeah, because he had some mentor, right? Didn't he, take over? I'm thinking of Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson,
Well, Brian was,
he had a lot of issues there.
yes, but Dennis was just, in interviews, he would be out there somewhere.
Uh-huh.
I think he had a drinking problem,
Yeah.
sadly. I think he died
I think he
in
drowned.
a
didn't he?
drowning.
Yeah, yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
when they were young. I mean, they had only been around 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting story. So,
Are you a big Beach Boys fan?
I do. You know what? I tell you, my brother had all those albums. I'm a product of my two brothers. They bought all the records, so I only listen to what they listen to. But yeah, I fell in love with the Beach Boys because I got some ballads like "Surfer Girl" and "In My Room." There's some great ballads that they did, as well as their
Yeah.
a lot of their songs are pretty interchangeable, but overall, and then they went on hard times. My sister, who belonged to Control Data, people might remember that there was a very early computer company in the 70s and 80s. Saw the Beach Boys at their company party. That's how low they had gone down. They were my sister's company party, the Beach Boys, the actual Beach Boys, not a cover band. The Beach Boys, yeah. That's when they reached their bottom point. And then Kokomo came out, and they had a big hit with Kokomo, and that brought it all back for them again. So.
Okay. Well, Jan and Dean, Dead Man's Curve.
Yeah, don't come back from Dead Man's Curve. And then Dean actually, Jan had the actual accident. Jan did.
Oh, okay.
Remember that? He was never quite, he had a head injury, and he was never quite fully there.
Oh, okay. I'll have to read up on that. But they worked with Brian Wilson.
Oh, did they? I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there were other groups that had, the Ventures were another, they had that sound too, but.
Yeah, instrumentals that went number one, the Ventures there back in the day. And I saw an article, I didn't read it, was about in the 1960s, why were we obsessed with teenage deaths? Because you had Teen Angel, and you remember there was another one where the guy, there's a Teen Angel where he holds her after the car accident at the very end, and but yeah, One Last Kiss.
Yeah,
Jay Wilson, One Last Kiss.
What's this? Moody River.
Oh, that's another one. Oh,
was that Pat Boone?
Was that the one Collage? Yeah, where they swim out and they both drown. The kid is in love with the Indian and the Indian girl, and they're both vanished from seeing each other, so they swim out. They both drown together in the lake.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah.
Is that Kalijah?
I'm not sure.
So Kalijah is about a cigar store.
Oh, that's right, cigar store.
Moody River, yeah, the eyes are looking at, I'm looking in the river and the eyes are looking at me, but it's a reflection, it's not the body.
Right, yeah.
That was Pat Boone.
A little morbid. Okay. Pat Boone, who stole a bunch of people's songs.
We need to start a Pat Boone tribute band. You and me, TD.
Speedy Gonzalez. So that'd be me. All right, let's take a look now at sports. And again, we look at sports news. We just don't rope off scores. We had the girls wrestling team. DeKalb has established a girls wrestling team in 2022. And you know about, is it Section 10 is what it's called? Article 10, Dan, where you have to have an equal number of girls teams and an equal number of boys teams. So when the girls started the wrestling team, the boys team were now one short. So now the DeKalb boys have their first boys volleyball team. The DeKalb boys volleyball team played its first home match on Tuesday, a few days after its first match in the program history at a tournament in Streamwood. The program is competing at the freshman and junior varsity level only this season, with a varsity squad plan for next year. Senior Juan Lopez says it's not what he wanted. He's a senior on the team, but he says, we just came out here to have fun. The 6'4" Lopez is one of 7 seniors on the JV roster, Barb. 3 senior starters, along with 6'2" Gregory Kibitz and 5'6" Tyler Brackmeyer as well. So Coach Keith Foster, who also coached the girls program, said that when he was brought to the school from Genoa Kingston 2 years ago, starting a boys program was a goal of the athletic director, Peter Golf, and the district. So did you have a volleyball team? You have a boys volleyball team?
No.
No, we didn't either.
But I wasn't a good volleyball. Kind of hurt when you'd hit the ball. My technique was bad.
Yeah, I had bad technique too. I'd call it palming the ball and stuff. But so we're gonna have them on equal time. I guess it's only right if I had the girls wrestling team. They're their first year. I should have the boys volleyball team if they're the first year. So
the Olympics, they have sand volleyball.
Yeah, boy, those people in good shape. My God.
Yeah.
To jump in the sand like that, it's just. Have you ever been to a volleyball match? I only went to one, but the intensity is unbelievable. The crowd is into everything.
You've been to a volleyball?
Yeah, that was years ago. Yeah, way back in the day. But you haven't.
I have not. I watched it on TV though. It was big in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, then the high school it takes on a whole new level there. So congratulations to the DeKalb boys volleyball team for their first win in volleyball. How about that? Take a look now at the Obits, and again, there's amazing people now. Rick Martha I remember, I'm like, how do I know that name? Rick, was age 76, passed away in DeKalb. Graduated from DeKalb High School in 1976, married Ruth in 1975, served the United States Army from 69 to 71, including service in Vietnam. He worked along his brother at DeKalb Ag. Rick was a 30-year letter carrier from DeKalb Post Office. We had just had a letter carrier today. A devoted lifelong member of the First Baptist Church, serving faithfully many roles, including sound technician, church historian, trustee, and custodian. He took pride in hosting and producing WLBK's Sunday School of the Air for many years. He also enjoyed fast-pitch softball, playing and managing the FBC team in the DeKalb Church League. Rick was an incredible memory for songs and lyrics, particularly from the 60s. A baseball fan, especially the Cubs. He knew random stats. And you always surprise me, Dan. You remember players and stats from things that, like this guy. He knew random stats and info about players from every decade since the 1950s. His family agreed that playing baseball at Little John's School with his brothers and Oak Drive neighborhood boys were among his favorite memories. And, of course, it reminds me of you, too, because Dan does a Saturday pickup game in his neighborhood, and that's right by my house there. So for him to say that the baseball pickup games with his brothers and buddies from Oak Drive neighborhood were among his favorite memories.
Oh,
how great is that, man?
So if I heard you correctly, he graduated high school in 76, but he got married in 75?
No, he graduated from middle school in 67, I'm sorry, and he married Ruth in 75.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah. And went to Vietnam in 69 to 71, too. Boy. What a guy. And I knew that name, and that's why, because he used to, the Sunday School of the On the Air at the
But you never met him.
He used to drop off a tape. That's how old. Remember back in the day when you dropped tapes off? He would drop the tape off for the Sunday broadcast.
Cassette.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Okay.
And that's a look at the Obits. Again, we like to do that because, again, we used to have to pay to get them on at the radio station. We thought it would only be right to do it here on the podcast. Birthdays, we have Jim Snellen of DeKalb's having a birthday. Jenna Weaver will have a birthday on the 25th. Maddie Weaver, birthday on the 28th. And Paige Bork. Right? You don't pronounce the J. B-J-O-R-K.
Okay.
Bork of Elburn will have a birthday. And this date in history, we always like to look at this. Actually, some very interesting. I want to thank our friends at the DeKalb County History Center who brings you this week in history. You go to DeKalbCountyHistoryCenter.org, find out all the cool things that are going on. Oliver P. Johnson, I love how they wrote back then, a daring young man, about 23 years of age, with his wife Elizabeth, and a babe, a few weeks old, settled in the Grove near now Waterman, and gave the name Johnson's Grove. I didn't know where that's where the name that came from. Johnson moved into an empty Native American wigwam made of elm bark, each about 12 by 16 feet wide, where the family stayed until he could build a log house. So he lived in a wigwam. How about that? He soon had a fine, strong double log house into which he moved and where he lived for 3 years before any additional migration to the area occurred. The Sycamore voters approved a new high school building by a vote of 859 to 508 in 1958. The voters approved the purchase of the site on the west side of Sycamore in the early 1950s, but the funding didn't happen until 57. The new building was first used in September of 1960. The building is heated electrically, one of the first such schools in Illinois. And, of course, our bicentennial year, April 1976, painters were decorating the DeKalb West Water Tower on West Lincoln Highway with a bicentennial flair. The bicentennial touches included adding 13 stars and dates 1776 to 1976. The entire tower repainting cost $10,000. Sounds pretty reasonable. The bicentennial decorations cost another $1,200. The project was completed by mid-May. Now, why aren't we doing that for the 250? Do we have anything on the water tower right now? I know there was one DeKalb school superintendent. I always wanted to have a barb up there on the water tower. I don't see why not. But I know, and then they have a name. Some places have advertising up there, right? You can have advertising up there.
Well, there would be some social media trolling.
Yes.
On certain groups.
Yeah.
Crime of the century.
So, again, we thank our friends at the DeKalb County History Center for that information. Go to DeKalbCountyHistoryCenter.org for all that great info that they got going on. So, summer's here in the living seas. That's what you said last week. Again, it's the weather has been rather bizarre, too. And, again, going back to our first story about the pool, DeKalb pool, again, we'll be back that date back till now mid-August. But you know how construction goes, right? You get some good weather, you can get ahead, right?
True. I mean,
reminds me of the airplane.
It's got to be right, you know.
Yeah.
The problem If it were privately owned, the buck stops with one person.
Right.
When it's a district and it's taxpayer funded, no one really owns it, but everyone puts their money together. I don't know. It always takes longer.
Yeah.
So, but it's got to get done correctly, and even if it doesn't get done until December 15th.
We got a lot of Cub fans in here. Just wait till next year. We're used to saying that, so we'll have to wait until next year.
I'd rather wait and have it done correctly than open it up too soon.
I hear you. All right, very good. Or is that your final word? You always give Dan the final word here.
Yes, that's my final word, and May is coming. Gosh.
Yes. How about that?
So,
and the Cubs are on fire. Really, 8 in a row, right?
I just saw that they were above 500, but still in last place.
Are they right? Okay, because I know they've won 8 in a row.
Okay. Wow.
And I see the White Sox got a home run hitter now. Who's it? Another Asian fella. You seen him, the lefty? Boy, does he got a beautiful swing.
Yes. Yeah. The Stockings, but they're still struggling.
Yeah. But at least they got a star, At least they got somebody go and like a Frank Thomas to go and watch him play,
Yeah.
Certain players I would pay money just to watch him bat,
Right. Yeah. Where they're up to bat and you just stop.
Right.
Sammy's up. Dave Kingman's up. You drop what you're doing.
I told Chief Burgard the story. I did a podcast with him yesterday. When the Cubs first put strawberry daiquiris in, they were selling them behind home plate, and we're in the grandstands all the way back by the outfield there. And I decided I have to have a strawberry daiquiri, so I walk. It takes me like 2.5 innings to get to the place because they're only selling them in one place. That's some ridiculous amount of money I pay back. So I get back, and Sammy is about to hit his second 60th. Remember, he hit 60 home runs 2 years in a row. And so we're out there, and I get the daiquiri. I'm just about to take my first hit, and Sammy goes yard, and my brother does a big thing and knocks the daiquiri. I couldn't have it on me any more than I did. And of course, it's chaos with Sammy. It was only after everything settled down that I'm covered in this daiquiri. I didn't get one sip of the damn thing, and I got to go home all sticky, But we got to see Sammy hit 60 for the second year in a row.
I thought you were going to say Sammy hit it while you were underneath the car.
No, and I was worried about it. That's why I ran back to get there, only in time to spill the thing all over myself. So.
Yeah.
Don't get girly drinks at the ballpark. Let me say that.
Right. I mean, you think about
beer and you're fine.
You think about the people who were in the bathroom when Kirk Gibson hit that home run in Game 1 of the '88 series.
Yeah, because there probably people left when they saw him coming up. All right, I'm going to go. We'll catch the next inning. I'm going to go. All right, Dan, you keep up the great work. Big thanks to Michael Davis, my nephew, for getting us on the air here. And a big thanks to our friends here at the DeKalb Public Library keeping this system working for us again. And that's TD Ryan News Podcast number 45.